All right. This is so awesome today. It's awesome. Skip happens, and welcome everybody. And thank you for viewing and taking note of Skip Happens. We're back on the air. Hopefully everybody had a great holiday. I've got a great guest here today. You know, we do all different types of things when I do my podcast. I almost said forecast. I'm not even a meteorologist. I have no idea why I would have done that. But sometimes we have the artist down here because y'all know I work in radio, and they come by and we do a little chit chat, or I have somebody talking about barbecue sauce, or we have the ball players down here talking sports. But this time around, I have a young lady. Her name's Tiffany Hoxie. She is a writer, speaker, and helping individuals achieve their maximum potential. I took that right off your script.
I love it.
I took it right off you. Let me read this a little bit. It says, I began my career in 2007 as a childhood education teacher. I moved from a small family-owned farm in upstate New York. Where?
The farm's in Fulton, New York.
Fulton. Okay. And where did you grow up? I mean, you said Fulton, but...
So I actually grew up in a small town called Pennville.
Scribbles Bridge.
Yep.
That's how I know. Did you ever jump off the bridge?
No.
Yeah, good girl. But now you're in Manhattan.
Correct.
You moved there in your late 20s, began working in the financial services industry. And I know your significant other, he is into the stock market type of thing. Yep. But now you got your MBA. Cool. Became a freelance writer on topics that include self-development, motivation, and self-care. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tiffany Hoxie. You're also an author, right? You write for a website, correct?
Yeah, so I'm, and hoping to start my own website next year. That's one of my goals. And currently haven't finished the MBA yet, but I am working towards that. So
it's a lot of work.
Lots of goals.
And
for
working
22.
full time at the same time.
Yes.
And then taking time off to come home and visit the family.
Exactly.
It's crazy. So tell me a little bit about what you do. I know I've seen your writings online. Totally amaze me. And they make me feel good about myself.
Good.
So tell me about what you do.
Yeah, so right now I'm just trying to build a platform. Next year, I really want to launch my website. I love helping to motivate individuals through my writing. I've been working on writing my own book for about 4 years now.
Oh, wow.
Hoping to finish that next year as well. And that's going to be telling my story a little bit, from how I grew up on the farm and some personal stories of how I've been able to kind of launch my life and grow my life through goal setting and staying motivated and reading other books and, surrounding myself by the people that can help me, take my life to the next level. And so, as a former childhood education teacher, I'm very passionate about helping individuals and, not just kids, but now adults, right? And I think a lot of us, can make life more stressful and complicated than it has to be.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so what I'm, really trying to achieve through the book is how can we create a really great life for ourselves, but by doing it in simple terms. Like, how can I break this down? How can I achieve my maximum potential?
Right.
Through, easier steps and simple everyday habits.
Wow. I think I'm putting my own thoughts here. My own life, it's crazy. Day in, day out, doing what I do. And I don't know if I don't know which category I would fall in, but I can tell you this. I am not organized, and I don't think I know how to prioritize. Is that something like what you do? You teach people how to prioritize and how to look at life a little bit differently?
Yeah, so a lot of what I talk about in my book is, how we can achieve the life that we want, intentional living, and what does that look like and how do we make that happen? And so a lot of what I wanted to talk about today is goal setting.
Okay.
And writing the plan down, and how can we break this down into everyday simple steps that at the end of the day can make our lives, a lot better.
How can we do that? Let's start with it. I know you got your notes, and that's okay.
I got some of my notes, and one of the things that I really wanted to talk about today is one of the things that I find really helpful is, and I don't do this, every single weekend, but I really try, is on Sundays I sit down and I think about my week ahead, and I think about what is it that I'm trying to achieve? And I have some like different, sectors here that I work.
Why do you do it on Sunday? Just because it's the beginning of the week?
It's the beginning of the week. A lot of people have this mentality, like, the Sunday blues, or, they're feeling kind of down, that Monday's coming,
Mondays
Sunday scaries. Yeah, which is...
No, I know, that's good. Sunday scaries, and Monday it's like, the beginning of another work week.
Right. And so if we go in and we take this life and turn it into a life of intention, right? And we sit down on a Sunday and we say, okay, I'm not going to let this week run me. I'm going to be the person that's running the week. I'm the one in the driver's seat, right?
Sounds easy, but I don't know if it's easy.
It's not. It's never easy, right? And so that's kind of why I have and I am more than welcome. I really want to share this weekly planner sheet with everybody. So feel free to find me on any of my social media platforms. It's Tiffany Hoxie on Instagram and Facebook, and I would love to send you a copy of this.
I just Googled your name, by the way, and all that came right up. So that's really cool.
Yeah, you can
Makes
do
it
that
easy.
too.
But I can't wait to hear this, because you're right. I wake up Sundays going, okay, the weekend's been great so far, but I got the week to look forward to. Might have a lot of things going on at work, just different things on my mind. How am I going to handle all this?
Yeah. So
what order am I going to put it in?
Yeah. So a lot of the times I love putting pen to paper, right? Like you want to have... In order to be intentional, you want to have that plan in place, right? So some of the different sectors, I think, to have a life of balance, you want to achieve this holistic approach to your life, right? You want to take care of all of your needs. So some of the different sectors I talk about are fitness and health, getting the fitness and health in the forefront of our minds, right?
Would you say that's one of the most important?
I think it is, yeah, because without our health, we might not have a lot. Like, we have to be up and running for ourselves, right? And self-care is so important, and feeling good mentally, So fitness and health is really important. And then career goals, having a purpose and being passionate with that purpose.
But how many, I don't mean to cut you off, but as you go along here, I think about career goals. And nowadays, things, in my opinion, are not like what they were years ago. For example, I know people that haven't had a raise in 10 years. I know people that just go in and they do the same thing over and over and over in hopes of getting some sort of advancement, but it doesn't happen. So it's, how do you maintain the, like, I know I'm going to be okay here. How can I advance? But you're not really advancing. I think a lot of people feel like that.
I think a couple of things that come to mind are, how can I advance? So number one, am I asking, if I have my boss or I have my manager, are we having that conversation? How can I advance, right? And then always just advancing within yourself, like whatever industry you're in, what can I read? What books can I, everything these days is right at our fingertips, right? Whether it be watching YouTube videos, reading books, listening to podcasts, how can I
That's true.
How can I help myself grow every day? Even if I'm not climbing a ladder or I'm not getting that promotion, you want to be building on that today within yourself.
Interesting. Okay.
Definitely reading books and surrounding yourself by the right people. And then whatever it is that you're looking to do, go out and ask for it. Have that conversation.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. It's a lot of the times in our lives we are waiting for something to come to ourselves, but we have to be the ones that have to go and seek it out.
Wow, interesting. Go ahead.
So
I'm making a mental note of a lot of this, and I'm going to be watching this whole podcast over again. So.
I can share all my notes and my sheets with you. So some of the other sectors that I think about are, family relationship goals. If we have a significant other or husband or wife or, our significant other, how can we have an intention with that person so it's not getting put on the back burner,
Right.
And then I have social life goals, relationships that we have are so important. And again, it's something that can be put on the back burner if we're getting busy with our career and next, we haven't seen our friends in a month or we haven't spent time with our family in a couple months, So again, this whole sheet is just kind of building eternal awareness.
It sounds easy, but I know that's difficult.
Right.
We love our family, and having that relationship or a relationship with a certain somebody. We love that, but there's so much pressure coming from other things that takes away from that
Right.
work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're afraid that if you don't do it, you're going to get fired or something's going to happen. So you feel you got to do it. I mean, there's a lot of us that bring work home.
Right.
And I think that's where it really has a toll on your relationship when you bring work home.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to talk? But I'm telling you, I end up bringing a lot of work home sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
And then I have personal development goals, you know, kind of what I was just talking about, how growth is so important and, you know, reading and helping ourselves any way possible. And then financial goals, obviously, the financial piece is a big one. And
It's hard.
Exactly. And none of these things are easy, right? So
Right,
it's just, which is why I think it is so important to sit down and have this check-in with yourself. Or, you know, you could even do them with your family or with your significant other. You know, when you have that person to help you be accountable as well.
It's all about setting those goals.
Exactly.
And trying to get them. But don't you, if you try and you don't succeed, you feel let down though. How do you handle that?
Yeah, so I was gonna get to that, right?
Okay.
Because, you know, a lot of people, if they're not achieving their goals, they're getting frustrated, right? And
Yes.
a lot of people are gonna feel, I'm just gonna quit. This isn't gonna happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But some of the people that I've studied have really helped me understand that you don't want to look at these things as that you're failing or that you're a failure, right? You want to turn them into lessons, right? So if something happens where, say, for example, you know, I'm trying to get fit and lose weight, right? And I get a little upset and then I end up like losing some weight, but then gaining it back. And I'm like, okay, this is failing. I'm failing. I'm just going to give up. But really, it's like you want to focus on the lesson. What am I learning each time when I'm trying to achieve this goal? And so you don't ever view it as failing or failures. You want to take it as a lesson. How can I grow from this? How can I keep going?
I think in Tiffany Hoxie, by the way, is who we're talking to, writer, speaker, here helping individuals achieve their maximum potential. But I think when you get let down so many times, you just kind of give up. I think that's on the minds of a lot of people. I mean, we've all been there. We've all tried to do things. And it's just, oh, not again. This is not working. I give up. You know, I mean, how do you just kind of keep that positive attitude? I mean, I can understand once or twice and you want to get right back up and go back in. But if it happens a numerous amount of times, how often are you going to want to get back up and jump right back in?
So a lot of times too, you know, I mean, I'm human too, right? I can start to feel like I'm failing or that things are not happening fast enough. And so what I found helpful is I start looking up quotes, right? I need motivation too. So also if you start to feel like you're failing, go out and find the things that are going to motivate you, right? Like what is going to make you feel good? Is it taking a walk? Is it having a nice cup of tea or coffee?
But a hobby?
Yeah, a hobby or like a sport, anything that's going to help you feel good can also help you with your other goals.
So what you're saying is just don't sit there and think about it. Right. Kind of put it in the back of your mind. Go do something you enjoy.
Exactly.
And it'll put you in a better frame of mind.
Exactly.
And then you can go back and try to achieve.
Right. Because the thing is, the messages that you tell your brain, right? A lot of people are in their head. We're in our heads all day long.
Too much.
Right?
I think.
Feeding our brains.
Yeah.
And we're feeding our brains either the things that we should be feeding it, or we can let our mind take over and give us all these negative thoughts, right? So we really want to learn to stay in the driver's seat of our life. And we want to, again, be intentional with our thoughts. And if you find that you're feeling negative or you're feeding your brain the messages that are not helping you, they're not serving you, then you want to interrupt those thoughts. You want to interrupt those negative thoughts. How can I help myself right now? What is it that I can do? Even just like watching something funny or like, having, talking and making some jokes with your friends, like anything to get that motivation going again.
It's tough.
It's
really tough.
It's tough.
What about social media, Tiffany? That...
Yes.
That can hurt as well as...
I know. Yep. Yeah. We could have a whole separate podcast on this. Yes.
Well, social media is so very big, obviously, and we're all on it. That's how we've touched base. But I feel that could definitely knock you down.
Yeah, so a couple things with that. I try to and remind myself, of this too, is stay in your own lane, right? As you're trying to achieve these goals, don't let yourself compare yourself to other people, right? If I'm trying to accomplish running a 5K, I'm not going to look at somebody that just finished a marathon and get all these jealous anger thoughts, right? Like it's you versus you, right? It's not you versus somebody else that's...
Hey, if I finished a 5K, I'm happy.
Right?
I'm just saying.
It's you versus you. You don't want to compare yourself to the person next door. You don't know what they're
You feel a
going
lot
through.
of people do that?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think with a lot of different things, right? Like I've known people to even have these beautiful homes, but then, the neighbor has a bigger house. The neighbor has a better house.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Exactly.
But that only hurts you more than it helps you.
Exactly. And a lot of the times I talk about how the highlight reel is not real, right?
That's so true.
We don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and social media, it's a tool. That's how I like to think of it, right? And so with this tool, you can either use it the right way and you can stay in touch with people and be reminded of birthdays and anniversaries and fun things like that. But you want to check in with yourself. You want to be utilizing it correctly. You don't want to just, fall down this rabbit hole of looking at other people's pictures because you don't really know the whole story,
Be yourself.
Right? Be yourself.
Be you.
Exactly.
The way you live, the way you are, just be yourself.
Exactly.
I've said that right along, but you're right. I know a lot of people that are not like that. And it actually kind of bothers me a little bit. It's like, dude, you just got to be yourself. Don't worry about those other people. Don't worry about what they're doing down the street.
Exactly.
And don't worry about because he's got a high paying job and you don't. Don't worry about it. If you're make yourself happy.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Keep going on this list because this is pretty awesome.
So the next thing I've got, quality of life. So this is where also a lot of the self-care falls in, the feel-good stuff. How can I help with my quality of life, And going back to the social media thing, some people have actually told me that they need to take a break off of social media. So that might be a quality of life goal that you set for yourself.
A digital detox.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep. A lot of people were doing that over the holiday. They made that a plan to take, they're off from school or they're out of work for a week or two, and they're saying we're going to do a digital detox.
Sometimes you just need that.
Can't though.
Yeah, you just.
I can't.
No, well.
My wife was down here and she said, "Yeah, you can." But you know what? I wake up in the morning, and can't say I grab my phone right that second that I open my eyes, but it's probably within the first 15, 20 minutes, I'll have my phone in my hand to see, hey, what's going on? And,
So maybe it's a little bit of a habit you've created. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So a lot of it, a lot of with the goals too, is looking into the habits, right, that you're creating for yourself.
Good point.
As you plan your goals, are the habits that you have for yourself, are they helping you reach your goals? If your goal is to have that detox, maybe it's waking up in the morning and you say, you know what, I'm not going to get on social media this morning. Maybe I'm going to go for a walk instead. Or maybe I'm going to, reach out to that family member I've been wanting to talk to. So it's just checking in with yourself. And, as you, like I said, reach your goals, you want to make sure that you are reaching for those habits that also help you achieve those goals.
Do you ever find yourself thinking back on a lot of what you're preaching and what you're talking? I mean, we all go through things in our lives and you say, okay, I got to pull it together.
Of course. I'm always trying to create that internal awareness for myself. And a lot of what I do too is I do a lot of journaling. So as
always writing. Are you actually writing or are you recording?
Oh no, I'm writing. I love the pen to paper. It always works for me. Just to kind of check in with myself. The self-care is huge because I find that I can provide the best information to the audience that I'm trying to help when I feel good, right? So I try to provide as much self-care to myself as I possibly can.
Well, let me ask you, what if you get somebody that says, I hate my job. I don't want to go to work tomorrow, but yet they got nowhere else to go. would you say, well, then you need to get out of that, and it's okay to get out of it, but you can't because you know you need that pay until you find something, I mean, how would you?
That's definitely tricky. And I know that a lot of people actually feel that way, right? So I think a lot of it is, again, put the pen to paper. What is it that you're looking for?
You like pros and cons?
Pros and cons, but also what is it that you want to be woken up by in the morning, right? So for me, it's writing. I just know that how much I love writing and being, helping people stay
So you'll get up
motivated.
in the morning, get your Skip Happens mug, get your coffee, and you will write.
Yeah, and just sit down with yourself and have a conversation. Like, what is it that you want out of your career? Like, I think it's perfectly acceptable to maybe you've outgrown your position, or maybe it's not a job that you like anymore. I think that's okay. I don't think people, in this modern day that we live in, not everyone is staying at jobs 30 years anymore.
No, I
right?
think those days are long gone.
And so, I think it's okay to check in with yourself. And if you're not happy, it's okay to look other places or to try new things or, because.
But you just don't want to.
You don't want to just
You get scared of, okay, if I quit, what's going to happen?
Right.
You're scared because maybe you got a family to support, you got a mortgage payment, you got your everyday bills.
Exactly. So obviously you need to.
But you don't want to be happy. I mean, you don't want to be unhappy.
Right. So you want to obviously you want to have that financial piece in the forefront of your mind too. But maybe that means that you start to save up some extra money so that you can have the option if you find another position and it doesn't pay you as much, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe I take a look at my savings plan and maybe I up the savings plan. If the next position I take is not going to pay as much, well, I know that I have my safety net to fall back on, right? So again, it's just...
That's a good thought.
Right? So it's just kind of, taking other things into consideration, or, maybe it's downsizing. Maybe you don't, lower your bills, or, you can shift some other things around in your life.
You just have to take that effort. Put it towards that. Right. And if you don't put the effort towards it, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You're just going to be miserable, and you don't want to be miserable.
Exactly.
You don't want to be grouchy.
Right.
You don't want to
Nobody wants to be grouchy.
No, nobody wants to be grouchy.
And nobody wants to be at a job they don't like.
Right, exactly. And I'm one of those. I wake up in the morning, I love my job. I love my job. I love what I do here with the podcast. I love being on the radio. That's been my life. I love doing that. But I've also worked jobs early on. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't. I'm going to call in sick today because I don't want to go to work. Mm-hmm. But if you wake up with that attitude, then you need to move on. You need to find something that you will enjoy. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Yeah. And I just think that that's another reason why I'm trying to write this book, is because I don't want people. You were saying the fear piece of things, right? And and a lot of the times we don't make decisions because we're scared. That
is true.
People love to live in comfort zones. And I'm telling you, one of the...
Step out of it?
Yes. One of the best things
Tell me about it.
You
Come
can
on.
do for yourself.
Step out of it.
Step out of your comfort zone. Go towards the fear. Like if you're scared to leave your job, but you know that you don't want to be at your job, leave your job. Find a way to leave the job, right? Right before I moved to New York City, I was so scared. I had only been to the city a few times, but I knew that I wanted to move there. But the fear held me back for a while. I didn't make the move right away.
I know you have somebody in your life now, but were you alone at the time that you were heading to New York? It was just you?
Yes.
I can understand the fear.
It was just me.
But, your significant other is from that area. I didn't know if you guys had plans, but it was just you. So now I understand why you would be
me, and I had a
scared.
friend down there that I was crashing with until we found an apartment of our own. But it took me many years to make the move down there. I mean, I'm from like a farm, right? So
Pennellville, Scruples Bridge.
Exactly.
I know. That's how my uncle grew up in Phoenix. So that's how I know Scruples Bridge back in the day. So. But that many years ago, but that's how I know it. But yeah, you grew up on a farm here. Now you're in the big city. So wow.
If it's one thing that you can take away from the podcast is, please, for 2020, your big goal has got to be get out of your comfort zone.
What's the name of the book?
So the title that I'm toying
Get out
with
of your
right
comfort
now,
zone?
it is one of the sections.
Okay.
The title that I'm thinking about and
It's not definite yet, but when I heard you say get out of your comfort zone,
Yes.
I said that'd be a cool title.
So the title that I am playing around with right now, it's called Wild Happiness.
Oh, I like that.
It's going to be the name of my book. I hope.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I'm flexible with this. It's going to be my first book, so it's, scary for me, but I'm going towards the fear. So
that's cool.
yeah,
that's
excited.
cool. You've been writing this book for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. So isn't that a long time to be writing? I don't know. I don't know much about writing a book. I sit here behind a microphone.
You know what the interesting thing is when you ask an author how long it took to write a book, they won't tell you 3 or 4 years. They will tell you it's taken my whole life. Wow. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
So actually
that
should be my answer my whole life, because some of the stories that are in there are from when I was
No, you're right.
7,
I think about
8,
that.
9.
Yes, growing up as a little girl to where you are today in your life. Yeah, and all that's in the book. It's your whole life. Mm-hmm. It could even be more than one book, and it's your whole life.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about, being happy, stepping outside your comfort zone. Forget about the fear. I think, I shouldn't say forget about the fear. We're all going to have that fear, but you need to put it to the side somehow, correct? Mm-hmm. And you need to take chances. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I built this podcast studio back in the early spring, I took a chance. I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I have artists and I have guests, great guests like you in here every week, different people. And it's worked out really, really well.
But it's scary, right?
It is scary because, as you can see, it's a big expense. But
you were able to get out of your own way.
Yes.
And you were able to go towards the fear, and now look at it.
Exactly.
And now it's going to bring you all different places in your life and have you meet so many different people.
Now, you got into doing this because, what got you started was being a teacher early on. Mm-hmm. Where did you teach? Was it local?
Palermo Elementary.
Palermo. Oh, my.
Wonderful, wonderful school. It's where my 2 nieces are going to school right now. So
very cool. Very cool. And at what level? You said it was?
I taught 2nd grade.
2nd grade. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my son went to CNS, of course, but he was special needs. Mm-hmm. And, anybody that teaches, and I have a daughter that teaches, you learn a lot from that, number one. I mean, it's a great education and all that, but, to get to be a teacher, but then actually teaching the students, I think you learn about a lot of different things that you had no idea about. I mean, you got to deal with the parents, you got to deal with the students, you got all different ways of life, and they all come together. Mm-hmm. And you got to learn how to separate all that and make it work. And now I can see why you're doing this, because you've seen it all.
Yes, teaching's, it's very important to me. I want to
Would you ever go back to it?
Well, I think that next year is going to be a big year for me.
I think so.
And, I've also written a children's book as well. So I'm hoping to.
What?
Yeah. So a lot of what I teach about in my adult book, I also have some of the same messages in the kids' books, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the things that we experience as children, we also experience it as adults, right? So a lot of the messages are across the board, right? So, even as a child, you need to learn about money, right? And then as an adult, you need to know about money. So
it never ends.
A lot of the topics that I talk about are meant, can be for adults, but then also I want to break it down and also give that message to children as well. So I'm going to be writing a lot more kids' books too.
I love it. So can I ask the kids' book that you wrote? What is it?
Yeah, so I got the idea for the book. My niece, she ended up not being invited to a birthday party, right? And so you can only imagine how that made her feel.
Right.
And so again, she starts to question herself, just like we as adults, we have all these messages that we ask ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so she didn't understand why she wasn't invited to the birthday party. She didn't understand that it was a smaller party. It was only two other people that were going. Mm-hmm. And so the children's book that I wrote, that I'm hoping again to eventually get in the hands of a publisher, the book is called Dear Self, You Are Enough. And it just reminds kids that they're all special. Everybody is special. And again, we're not going to be the best at everything. We're not going to win everything. We're not going to have the most of everything. We're not going to get the most likes.
But
on
you can think
media.
that way, right?
But you are still enough. Like we are all here. We are all doing our best, and we are enough.
Wow.
So that's another
I know.
another project.
You're like blowing me away here. I'm
tuned.
listening to all this. Yes, yes. Your brain is constantly going.
Oh, yes.
It's constantly turning.
Yes.
All the time. I imagine when you guys are riding around, you make the trip up to visit family from New York, your brain is, maybe you're even in the passenger seat writing.
Oh, yes.
As you're making the trip, making notes, and all this could be going in the book too. So that's cool. Maybe your first podcast to go into the book.
Yeah, no, this experience will definitely be going in the book. This is amazing. I love it.
It's amazing for me to have you here. Tiffany Hoxie, formerly from the area here in central New York, now living in New York City, in the big city. And of course, you worked in the financial side of things for a little bit. That had to be crazy. What did you learn from doing that? You know, did any of that help you with your writings and your thoughts?
Of course, because, just observing different things and being around all types of people. And, I grew up just a very small town and I never even traveled. And then I got around all different types of people that were traveling all the time. And so I actually didn't even have a passport until I moved to New York City. Right. And then I would meet people that were traveling all the time and going to all different countries. And I said, I want to do that.
And you did.
Well, yeah. So I ended up having the goal. I'm like, okay, I want to start traveling.
I know you went to London. Saw that on your Facebook.
Yes. And I actually, this is a part that's in my book. I decided, okay, I'm going to start traveling. So I went and I got my passport. And then I didn't go anywhere for about a year and a half. But and
passports aren't cheap.
No.
Okay.
But I knew that I was going to go. So I wanted to be prepared and I wanted to set that intention that I was going to go somewhere. And so I got the passport, and then finally a year and a half later, I traveled. But again, I was scared. Where am I going to go? Who do I have to go with?
But once you made your mind up, you already had the passport and it was time to go. You knew that's what you were going to do, but you just didn't know when.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
So you set that intention.
Okay.
You go towards the fear. You live your life on purpose, right? And you don't let your life run you. You chase after what you want.
Go after it.
Go after it.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
But that, here, backing up to what we said when we first started talking, or what I said, that sounds so easy, but it's not really easy.
Nothing, I think, truly worth having is easy, or everybody would have everything they wanted, right?
That's true.
So
that is true.
So we got to be here and we got to work really, really hard for the things that we want.
All right, so the points here, what you're saying is if you're not happy, get out. Pretty much.
Yes.
Take that chance. Put the fear to the side.
Yes.
Take that chance. All right, reevaluate everything, what your life is about. Your job, financial, all that. And if you're not, just put it to the side. Do what you can do. Wow. This is amazing. And hopefully we have some individuals people watching this, and that they will do that and they will look you up. And
I try to post, a lot of motivation things at least a couple times a week. Yeah. And I give a little bit of information about my book, and I actually take some things from the book and put it on my social media. And so any questions, definitely feel free to reach out. Love helping people, so I
can see that. I mean, just looking at you, you are one of those that would definitely want to help somebody. And I've talked to a lot of people, so that's very, very cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, you got a lot of notes.
I know. I love
and I love it because you came prepared. Look at me, I got nothing.
You're prepared.
I'm not
going
prepared.
Back and forth here. No. So I think we've covered a lot of things. Like I said, if anybody wants some of the samples of what I use to keep myself motivated, the planner that I use, the different ideas that I have, honestly, feel free to reach out to me.
Talk about your planner again for a minute.
Yeah, so the planner just kind of has a section where you can write down your goals for each of the different sectors of your life. And then on the other side of it is my action steps this week. So what is it that I'm going to do? So let me give you an example. So right before I started getting my MBA, I kept talking about it for months, right? Like, oh yeah, I'll get to it. I'll do it. no one's there to handhold you, right?
Right.
You're going to put these things on the back burner. I had to keep writing it down, and I had to keep putting it right in front of my face. Get your MBA, get your MBA. And finally, after it was like 2 months, I'm like, okay, I am sick of writing, get your MBA. Like, I'm going to go and register today.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's just having it, like, have it be right in your face. Like, write these goals down, hang them up, hang them at your office, put them on your mirror, anywhere where you're going to see them to remind yourself how to live this life of intention.
Interesting.
So yes, I will share this.
So this is, I mean,
with you.
Getting your MBA, I know a lot of people that will do it right out of college, that they will move on and get that, get their master's and what have you. But you waited, which makes it even tougher.
Right.
And that's all the more reason to put the Post-it notes or get your MBA, put it on your steering wheel. The crazy thing, it sounds nuts, but that it would make a lot of sense. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
So another thing I want to leave you with, Oprah is one of my favorites that she helps me stay motivated. So I did write down.
You get a planner. You get a planner. You get a planner.
I love it.
I do too.
One of the quotes that she has said before that really stuck with me is, the big secret in life is that there is no big secret. Whatever your goal, you can get there if you're willing to work.
Bingo.
I love that quote.
Bingo.
So I wanted
That's
to
an Oprah.
share that with everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Oprah is very well known for those. And she's a
wonderful.
woman that's been doing the right thing.
Changed a lot of lives.
I mean, yes, she has. I mean, we all talk about it. We all kid about it sometimes. Like I was kidding about, you get a planner, you get a planner. But you know what? It's so true. So true. Wow. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, somebody wants to look you up on the web, or how can they do that, Tiffany?
Yeah, so definitely you can reach out to me on Instagram message. It's Tiffany Hoxie. Facebook is under Tiffany Hoxie. And
You don't mind if I put the links under the video when I
absolutely
post
not.
it?
No,
Cool.
absolutely not.
Awesome.
Happy to help.
Happy to help, and I'm happy to have you here. This has
Thank
been
you
awesome.
so much.
This is
This has
some
been
great.
wonderful.
This
Thank
is the
you.
beginning for you, and it's something a little bit different for me. Like I say, I have a lot of different guests in here, but this is some great information.
Thank you so much.
You're
It's
so
wonderful.
You're so welcome. I'm so used to just people just anything, and but this is something that we all. This is serious because we're all in this position that you've been talking about. We're afraid to take those chances, and maybe just one person watching this, if they do that planner and they
Gotta
take
start with one.
Yep. And I always say to the artist, one fan at a time. So here
exactly.
it's one individual at a time
I love it.
to make your life better. So it's Tiffany Hoxie, writer, speaker, now living in New York City from Pennellville, Scruples Bridge. That's what all I remember is like the 1-lane bridge. I don't know. Is it still there? I don't know. You probably haven't been through there. You're out of there.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's cool.
I will never forget my roots. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And you went to Oswego
I went to Oswego.
in the winter.
Oh, yes. Those winters.
Now, it's true with the ropes, right? Between because of the lake effect snow, you held onto the rope to get from one building to the next.
Or grabbed onto somebody.
Grabbed onto somebody. There you go. All right. That's what happens here in the Northeast. Tiffany Hoxie, thank you so much for being here.
you.
And Skip Happens.